I actually know very few people who are still willing to put the time into actual studying, and we're going to talk about that today. I have started studying Chinese medicine in depth because of some things that my teachers told me about Qigong and about Tai Chi Chuan and about yoga, Chinese teachers mostly. And some of them were knowledgeable and some were less so. And I'm going to tell you in this video a little bit more about that thing. And since that time that I started studying Chinese medicine in depth, I was about 24, and now I'm 62, I have been studying anything I could get. This curtain that you see here hides 1/2 or maybe less of my library about this topic. And I've been taking different angles from sociology, from anthropology, from Daoism, from Confucianism, from Neo-Confucianism, Neo-Daoism. I've lived 15 years in the Chinese Wudang Mountains and the areas around it to learn things. I've been working with Chinese medicine hospitals. I have been working with Chinese medicine professors, studying with them, and yeah, there's a lot to know. And one of the core things of this is the understanding of the I Ching, because the I Ching provides the theoretical framework for Chinese medicine. Because in the West people saw the I Ching mostly as an oracular text, they have skipped that part and have summarized it in a few pages of their studies. And they go to school for 3 years. They have maybe every week or every few weeks they have a few hours of lessons. They have to do some work at home, and then they think they can practice Chinese medicine. They have learned some skills, but they haven't learned the principles. And about this we're going to talk today on the basis of my translation work for the Huangdiwaijing. I have done a video about this the week before, and I gave you some introduction talks. And the first chapter actually in this text is about yin-yang theory. And we're going to analyze this theory and we're going to reflect a little bit on it. And I'm going to at least give you some suggestions about how to improve things. And this has to do very much with the way how people learn by nature and the way how we have come to learn because of comfort. And we want to make a break with that, because why are you studying Qigong? Why are you studying Chinese medicine? Is it to have a feeling about yourself, how wonderful you are, or are you really trying to learn this set of skills? And for this we have to understand some of the basic principles that are being discussed in this chapter, in addition to what is being discussed in the Huangdineijing and the I Ching itself also, where these principles are being touched upon, but here they are applied in the concept of Chinese medicine. Yangshen, basically, as Daoists do it. Not Yangshen as you see nowadays being done by most people, including some of my own students, my brothers, my sisters from the monastery, and so forth and so forth. I actually know very few people who are still willing to put the time into actual studying, and we're going to talk about that today. I hope you really enjoyed this video. It is a difficult video to make because it takes a long time to translate things properly. I do think it is very important. I do this also in between my clients, and if you are liking the content of these kind of videos, then help me by becoming a member of the channel if you are not yet. If you want to become part of our Patreon and sponsor the program, that would be really great. If you want to join the research, that will be even better, because I need a lot of people for that, and that will save me the funds to try to find these people. And I try to do things as organic as possible because I don't really like commercial activities, although I do see that for this research I will have to do some things more commercially sometimes. At the moment, when you think this is valid and you want to make it part of your studies, then just come studying with us. We will look at what you have done before and we help you with the transition towards our program, because I am very well aware of the fact that most schools, they teach TCM or they teach Western medicine. They teach dry needling, all these kind of things, and these are all what you can call airy skills. So that means they have no real root, and as a result of that, they are not going to be helpful to you nor to your clients on the long term. Yes, they will be okay to make money. Yes, they will be okay to alleviate some of the suffering of people, but they will not help you to really cure people. If this is your intention, you have to really learn Chinese medicine, the old style. And this is actually what the Daoland program tries to convey and tries to train you for, to help also disperse this model further into the world. We are also at this moment involved in all kind of programs to develop these kind of things in other cultures and in refugee camps. And in one of these refugee camps, once we have been establishing the basic program, we are going to help them develop over time a full healthcare program. So for this, I need, of course, also a lot of help. So please either fund us or join us and participate, do something anyway to make the world a better place, because this is all that we need as human beings. As you see, it is a mess. The story we're going to tell today is the story about Xing and Jing. Jing, you know, of course, from Jing, Qi, and Shen, and is usually translated as essence. Although it does reflect on the fact that the Jing is essential, the meaning of Jing is not essence. I will give you the meaning below so that you can understand the difference. At the moment, when we look at Xing and Jing, it is also to understand that we talk about Ni, Zhuan, and Zhunzhou. These kind of things are going to be discussed today, and you are going to understand a lot more about yin-yang theory and about Chinese medicine as a whole, and what is the agenda of Chinese medicine. Because, to be really quite short, and which I mentioned already many times, the goal of Chinese medicine is to understand the principles of nature, the principles of our body, and how we can reverse the process of dying. The idea, of course, of Daoism and of Chinese medicine as a whole has always been to try to stay alive. And this chapter actually discusses that and puts a lot of context on the Huangdineijing, which I always refer to as the chapter 1 and 2 of the Huangdineijing, where they discuss the different levels of immortality, and then they continue to the different principles and how to apply that towards disease. In Chinese medicine, the application towards the treatment of disease is a minor part. Of course, it is important, and it shows your compassion if you are treating disease. But you have to understand that Chinese medicine is not the treatment of disease, but Chinese medicine is the maintenance of life. And at the moment when you are not working on the maintenance of life, then at that moment you are not practicing Chinese medicine. That's different from Western medicine. And this is what modern Chinese medicine has taken over from the West. That is that namely TCM is pointed towards the curing of symptoms and the curing of diseases insofar as that is possible within the context where you have no idea about what life actually is. And every step backwards, the graying of your hair, the wrinkles in your face, all these kind of things, there are signs of gradually dying. And this is what we're going to talk about. And what is important here is to understand that at the moment when we look at the Huangdineijing and the Huangdiwaijing, we talk about the discussion between Huangdi, the Yellow Emperor, who was a general very concerned obviously with the well-being of his people, and Qibo. Qibo is a heavenly master and he is a heavenly doctor, so to say, and he understands Chinese medicine theory. And we're going to discuss today some aspects of this discussion as it is being exemplified in the Huangdiwaijing. There are a few things that I want to clarify to start with, and one of the things is that when we are doing the Daoland exercises, whether it is the health builder practices such as the bamboo qigong, or we do the wudang fitness, kung fu fitness, the slow version, the fast version, if we do the self massage, or if we are practicing in our Yangshan clinic with mobilization massage and the use of the the muscle channels, or if we are using the facial renewal practices with acupuncture and massage, all these kind of things, they all turn around the same, namely the correct body position. And this is something that you find here. The yin and yang theory in regard to Tao is in fact clarifying that if we do not have a correct body posture, then automatically aging will happen. Another important aspect of this teaching is that if we are allowing ourselves to follow the flow of things, then at that moment we will naturally age and die. And so I said it also in other videos, going with the flow is not the wisest thing to do. It might feel great, but it is the path of least resistance, and the path of least resistance leads eventually to aging, because in the path of least resistance you will miss the essential markings where you have to adjust yourself in the face of impeding death. So at the moment when you are doing all kind of things and they feel really great, they might actually not be so great. And this is a very important part, and we are going to talk about that a little bit more in detail also. I would like to understand in that sense that this is about learning principles. When we are learning principles, then at that moment, because of learning principles, we are learning how to harness all kind of things. At the moment when we look at the skills that we are learning, whether it's Chinese medicine or whether it's Qigong or whether it's Tai Chi Chuan, the skills in itself, they are not the principles. So if you learn a Tai Chi form, or you learn 20 Tai Chi forms, or you learn 300 Qigongs, in themselves, these are collections and collections and collections. They do not teach you how to become well trained. When I talk to my students that, okay, I'm okay with the fact that you're only studying 4 hours a day, then they already say like, wow, but it is so much, how am I going to do that? When I was studying 10 hours a day, sometimes 12, sometimes only 8 or 9, this kind of things, they fluctuate. My teacher called me lazy. And the reason why he called me lazy was that, well, if you are not learning how to motivate yourself properly inside your body, how can you apply skills properly? Whether it is about manipulating your kneeling, or whether it is in a fight, or whether it is in meditation, you have to learn to stabilize your skills, and you do that by finding out how the principle actually works. The other thing is that you have to learn to copy your teacher, and you have to improve on your teacher by becoming an exact copy first. So you learn to do things by the way how your teacher explains. When I was in the Wudang Mountains, everybody wanted me to copy the instructors. And the instructors are there to help you learn the moves, but then you have to adapt towards the teacher, because the teacher actually has the proper skill. Hopefully he is a master, but even if he is not a master, you can become a master in what you're doing just by first copying, by exercising until you're really bored of it, until eventually in your boredom you start discovering that something happened. And this something happened means that at that moment you acquired the skill. And from that moment onward, if you keep on practicing, you gradually start owning it. And because of owning it, gradually also learn to fold it towards your needs. You actually learn to become formless. This formlessness does not come from acquiring many skills and practicing a lot of time period. No, it comes from learning the principles and then learning skills. Because the skills are meaningless without the principles. And that is for yin-yang theory exactly the same. So let's go to the text and try to figure out how it is being applied in this text. Oh, what I wanted to add to this is that the way of practicing for a long time, especially in Qigong, Tai Chi Chuan, Daoyin, meditation and so on, but also in needling and in massaging, is for a simple reason that as a result of that, once you make yourself owner of the material, your body has folded towards the exercises. You have to understand that your body is going through a continuous process of regeneration. Your body is not continuous. Your mind is continuously changing. Your body is changing. Everything is always changing, and it is changing on the basis of that what is. If you go with the flow, it just continues to change towards things that you are doing. Like for instance, when you're drinking every day, your adaptation will be towards drinking. So as a result of that, the negative influences of drinking will gradually become aggravated over time. We are creatures of habit, and it is important to make a choice between good habits and bad habits. Bad habits, they lead to death. Good habits can help us to survive our own death. In the context of the research that I'm currently doing, I'm actually only selecting things that can help us overcome the weaknesses of our body by frequent repetition. You cannot learn an exercise and then just learn it like that. So you can see this as a meaningful conversation about what is going to happen in the research once you start joining it and you become an applicant as a test subject. You will pay a little bit for it, but the simple reason for that is because it is difficult to find funds for research nowadays, especially when it is principled research on things that have nothing to do with AI or computer systems or automatization, right? So this is the reason why we need to do that. And we need at least 1,000 subjects. The more subjects we have, the more seeds we have for later developments in society as a whole. We have to grow towards policy making. We have to grow towards all kinds of things. But the main thing is that we, you and me as a follower of this channel or as a student of my classes in Chinese medicine, in Daoist medicine, or in the weekly classes as a whole, you are going to be able to understand a little bit more about what is the purpose of practice and how it actually works. So let's discuss this a little bit on the basis of our Chinese medicine theory as it is being explained here in the Huangdiwaijing on the chapter on yin-yang reversal. At the beginning of the translation, I talked about Guangchengzi talking, and Guangchengzi talked about the essence of the Supreme Tao is deep and dark. And he said that the extreme is twilight and silence. So the essence is the middle path. So the essential, when you are learning something, you have to come to the middle path, and for this you have to learn the essential things. And the essential things is the way how your body is being shaped to carry the wisdom. So you have to become an exemplification through your body of the wisdom of Chinese medicine. So in Chinese medicine, that doesn't found itself on actual physical practice, Daoyin, Qigong, Tai Chi Chuan, and so on, but only has it as an additional thing of your skill set that you have to learn. Then at that moment, it doesn't help you to clarify the theoretical framework, why the theoretical framework is like this. So this is what we do in the Daoland program. We have actually a training program, and that training program is illustrated by the theoretical framework. It's a little bit like a picture book, right? So you're going through the pleasurable torture of exercise, and because of the pleasurable torture of exercise, you eventually start mastering particular kind of skills. That takes time. So your exercise is the most important part. I always say, read the theoretical framework, listen to the videos, watch the videos, take part in the online classes and so on. So then you pick up on your theoretical framework, because talking, classes and so on, this is part of a dialogue that you have with the material. It's a dialogue that you have with me as your teacher, and it's also a dialogue that you have with your fellow students. So at the moment when you are sharing ideas, you're conveying ideas, you may be talking to other people outside who disagree with you because they follow another path, they follow the path of bookish wisdom, and then as a result of that, you come to formulate your thoughts over time. So there is no issue with that. This is the easy part. Knowledge cannot be locked into the mind and then it is important. That is just an approach which fits with the way of convenience, and the way of convenience is something that we try to avoid at the moment when we are studying. This is a very important part which is exemplified in this part, but it's also exemplified in every professional study over time. Every serious teacher will tell you to study hard, and study hard in this case, in the study of Chinese medicine, means exercise, 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 exercise. And there's many different kind of exercises. That's why the Daoland program has so many different kind of skills. But for learning the concept of Chinese medicine, the cosmology in which Chinese medicine takes place, we use the Zhongwu Qigong. The Zhongwu Qigong is very important because it has a lot of developments in relationship to Jing and Shen, and this is also something that we come across in this text. At the moment we talk about form and we talk about cohering our body. That means that we actually learn how to carry our body properly. This is the Jing, the way how we carry our body. That's the Jing, that's the yang of the Jing. The yin of the Jing, that is just your memory, right? Your body is like a memory foam that you use as a mattress. So your body remembers things, and it remembers for a relatively short time. So it remembers only for 3 months. So if you have learned skills, you still have to keep on repeating and learning and repeating and repeating and learning and so on. Because if you do not do that, your body gradually will start forgetting. It is not important to learn a lot of different kind of methods. No, it is important to learn the principles of an exercise very well. Chan Chuang and Yi Chuan, in that sense, is a very important part, has become a part of my exercise regimen since I was 24. And in Yi Chuan, one of the things that we learn is that you have to stand Chan Chuang for a long time. My teacher told me to stand for 8 hours. So I gradually trained to be able to stand for 8 hours. And as a result of that, you come into deeper and deeper layers of your body and you start understanding more. And then as a result of that, things happen. I remember, for instance, at a certain point, I was coming back from the Wudang Mountains and I was doing a lot of Chan Chuang there, which was not as much as I did in the past, but because of being in the mountains very strong, my body was properly charged. So as soon as I touched one of my students, when we were practicing, I was doing a little bit of push hands with them, they flow through the sky. Now, this is a normal thing that happens as a result of practicing. Your body will be able to move in such a way that somebody else is not as heavy. In the Qigong practices that we do, we learn to do Chan Chuang in a wide way, and I advise people to stand every day for a half hour, but to try to reach for 2 to 4 hours. And I tell them about the 8-hour sequence. So there are about 12 Chan Chuangs in the Qigong, and there's also about 12 Chan Chuangs in the Kung Fu practice from Tai Chi Chuan. All these Chan Chuangs together, they will take a lot of time, but they will also transform your body and they will shape your bones. And as a result of that, you will get a deeper coherence and a deeper understanding of the form of your body, what you can do with it. So when you're needling, you will be able to have a stronger result. When you are massaging, you will have a stronger result, and so on and so on. Your body will have to change in the learning process. In the text here, it says that if the shun and if the form of your body is proper, your body will automatically straighten. That means that through your exercise, your body is being shaped, and if you deviate from that what you have learned, your body automatically will feel uncomfortable and it will start correcting itself. So what I always call, and people who have studied with me for a long time, I always said your body is like a self-cleaning oven. And this is the reality of things. At the moment when you are all the time sitting like this and you want to sit like this, it will correct itself towards this. This is the natural thing. At the moment when you're open, the blood circulation will be optimized, and as a result of that, the nourishment of your body will be good. But also the shun, the awareness can go everywhere, and this has to establish your form, because your form is basically the result of your shun guiding the jing. At the moment when we are going further with that, you say that the text says that the body cannot grow old when you behave properly, because this is what you try to prevent. And the main thing in yin-yang theory, what it says here in the Huangdiwaijing, is that when people are following the way of least resistance, they grow old and they die. So that means that to stay alive and to recover from disease, you have to resist that automatic process. And I know a lot of people that feel that is a lot of work, and I understand that completely, although it is a stupid thought to have that thought. So at the moment when you feel that convenience is more important than anything else, you are charging yourself with future suffering. Usually, unless when your body is perfect, and that is very rarely the case, when you are carrying your body for a long time in the wrong way, you gradually start accumulating disease, whether it's dementia with memory loss, whether it is weakness through which, or through diet, you develop diabetes or other kind of diseases. All these kind of things, they can be prevented to a large degree, unless when, well, it has to be your destiny to be like that. And destiny is something that is unacceptable, of course. Destiny is something that you have to create yourself, and that you do create yourself. So at the moment when you are not taking proper care of your body, what I didn't say in Daoism, the Hun and the Po then do no longer help you as envoys of heaven and earth, and as a result of that, they help you only to die more fast. So you are always creating a destiny in whatever you do, and you have to understand that whatever you do creates a particular kind of destiny. If you just do some Qigong, that is not going to help you live longer or have a healthier life. Just doing Qigong is not going to make you healthy. It is the intensity of the practice and the following of the principles that eventually make it like that. Just practicing, like say an hour a day or something, for a particular kind of skill, like with the Wudang Kung Fu Fitness, that will help you to become flexible as a precursor to more serious practice. It will help you to develop your health. It will help you to survive and all kinds of things. So that's like a minimum that you will need. And the same with meditation. If you meditate on a frequent basis, then at that moment, because of meditating on a frequent basis, then at that moment you will be able to develop the kind of awareness of your internal processes and the impact of the world around you. And as a result of that, you'll be able to correct yourself more keenly than somebody else can. And with food, it's exactly the same. At the moment when you are eating properly, then at that moment your dietary awareness will help you to understand when you eat something, or even when you touch a particular kind of food, that it is going to have a negative effect on you. And that nourishment principles that you're learning from eating is also going to be manifested in the kind of friends that you seek, or in the kind of touches that you do to people. if you touch people. I remember, for instance, most of my teachers, they never liked to be touched by strangers, because strangers or even close friends, they might have all kind of diseases or problems inside them, psychic or physical or emotional or anything like that, and that rubs off on their environment. So it is good to be a friend, but as a teacher, as a therapist, you're always somebody's friend. You're somebody's helper. And at the moment when they want to give their friendship to you, they can do that in all kind of ways, but it is then very often not good to be touched by them, to not let it rub it off on yourself. That is also in your life partner choice. You should not take somebody who pulls you down. You should take somebody who leaves you at peace so that you can do your thing in case they don't want to stimulate you. One of the things that the text actually says is that when Huangdi was thinking, he was coming into the zone between ghosts and disasters. That is basically the realm close to the underworld where you're pondering so deep that you start having all kind of wild thoughts in your mind. You might think for yourself like, oh, I have all these wild thoughts in my mind, I'm brilliant. That is actually not the case, because these are random thoughts, and if you follow these random thoughts, they will leads to a random lifestyle, and random lifestyles, as you know from Chinese medicine, is generally considered not the right way. And the whole point of lifestyle choices in Chinese medicine is to create an ordered lifestyle, to make sure that your life is rhythmical and that you create good habits to help you develop a particular kind of awareness and strength that you can translate as form and as coherence in your body. But then, of course, when we talk about the other aspect, we talk about the Nizhuan, and we talk about the Nizhuan and the Zhengzhou. In the text, it says the Tao of yin and yang is nothing but Zhengzhou and Nizhuan, reversal of tidal currents is Nizhuan, and Zhengzhou and Zhengzhou is compliance, or being on guard against the following, or as part of following. And this trick of compliance and reversal is what is very important. In Taoism, we often talk the secret of Tao is in reversal. Comes from this. This is this statement. This is about this. It's already in the Huangdineijing. And I remember from many conferences when I said, like, well, when you study Chinese medicine or when you study Taoism, you have to first look at Lao Tzu and you have to look at the Huangdineijing. They are one part. People talk about Huang Lao thinking in science. So that's a very important part of this. There's a few other things that I need to say. When we are aware of the fact that this reversal is important, we can see that the development of Jing is very important, development of Shun is very important. Qi is just the outcome of that. Qi is not a substance that's flowing in your body, and I talked about it just a few days ago with somebody who is doing translation for another teacher, and she said, like, but the Qi is circulating through your body, and you could clearly hear that they use energy as a translation for Qi. And the thing is that the body in Taoism and in Chinese medicine is clearly explained as the different channels have different content. There is nothing circulating between the channels, because if there would be something circulating between the body, your body would become like a Baba Papa. Everything would become like one. And at the moment when everything becomes like one, that is not exactly the case to keep your body functional. This is the reason why energy is not that what is circulating in your body. And I cannot repeat it often enough that if people use that kind of theoretical framework of energy, medicine and so on, this is a typical Western thing. Even the practices where people are doing healing and so on, where they mean that they give some of their substance away to somebody else through which they age faster, this is a Western concept originating in the ideas of magnetism. Which was developed by Anton Mesmer as a theoretical framework for exorcism in the Catholic Church. And that is then, of course, still done, and that is being transported with our colonial ideas towards all kind of country, including China, India. You mention all these countries where we have been in the past and where we have basically uprooted their history and their sciences and tried to make them adapt to our sciences. And in the case of Qigong, Tai Chi Chuan, you see that had a really huge impact, where now everybody is talking about things that we brought in there. We can say and conclude that if the Jing is solid, that means that your awareness and the Jing, the Shun and the Jing, both are maintaining your body form properly, then at that moment automatically your body will be okay and your life will be okay and you will have a long and pleasant life. At the moment when the Jing is lost, that means that the coherence of your body is lost and you become flaccid or you become overly hard because of bodybuilding and doing strong muscle practice. Then at that moment you're restricting the Jing, because then at that moment you're holding your body up by your muscles or just sheer by intention without having the actual activity of weaving the different parts of your body together through which clarity of form can exist. I hope you really enjoyed this video. It is a difficult video to make because it takes a long time to translate things properly. I do think it is very important. I do this also in between my clients. And if you are liking the content of these kind of videos, then help me by becoming a member of the channel if you are not yet. If you want to become part of our Patreon and sponsor the program, that would be really great. If you want to join the research, that will be even better, because I need a lot of people for that, and that will save me the funds to try to find these people. And I try to do things as organic as possible because I don't really like commercial activities, although I do see that for this research I will have to do some things more commercially sometimes. At the moment, when you think this is valid and you want to make it part of your studies, then just come studying with us. We will look at what you have done before and we help you with the transition towards our program, because I am very well aware of the fact that most schools, they teach TCM or they teach Western medicine. If this is your intention, you have to really learn Chinese medicine, the old style. And this is actually what the Daoland program tries to convey and tries to train you for, to help also disperse this model further into the world. We are also at this moment involved in all kind of programs to develop these kind of things in other cultures and in refugee camps. And in one of these refugee camps, once we have been establishing the basic program, we are going to help them develop over time a full healthcare program. So for this, I need, of course, also a lot of help. So please either fund us or join us and participate, do something anyway to make the world a better place, because this is all that we need as human beings. As you see, it is a mess.